On today's show, Anthony Davis should be a top 10 player in the Locked On Top 100. I'll tell you why he isn't one, but I'll tell you where Cooper Flagg and Kyrie Irving rank, and they will surprise you on today's Locked On Mavs.
Stop it! Let's go! Stop! The number one pick will go to the Dallas Mavericks. Cooper Flagg will fly in Dallas.
Dogs, all of us, all five.
You are Locked On Mavs, your daily Dallas Mavericks podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Still can't leave.
Your team every day.
I'm gonna get a city like that.
And welcome. You are Locked On to the Dallas Mavericks, your team every day. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member covering the Mavs for 10 years. Thanks for being in every day or making Locked On Mavs your first listen each and every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner. It's coming closer than you think. It's happening. And new customers can bet just $5 and your bet wins. You get $300 in bonus bets. Download the FanDuel app and go to FanDuel.com to get started. Today's episode, I'm going to talk about the Locked On Top 100. It's coming out this week. It's coming out today. If you're listening to this on a Monday, which you have to, or I guess you could listen to this on Tuesday. It came out yesterday. Talk about the Locked On Top 100. We ranked 100 players. It is difficult to rank every 100 player to try and figure out, all right, is Miles Turner better than Andrew Nembhard? You just gotta ask that question. Or I sat there for a little while and was like, do I like Josh Giddey more than Jalen Green and Jordan Poole? You're like, what do I think about Tumani Kamara, Herb Jones, and Asar Thompson, like all together? Like, what do I think about all of them? You're like, what do I do with this list? And so we ranked all of them, then we compiled them all together, and then we took the aggregate. Like, we took the aggregate of all of our lists, all the Locked On hosts on Locked On NBA. We took all their lists and we put it all together into one master list. And so that's what I'll talk about. I'll talk about where I had these guys ranked. We'll talk about Cooper Flagg. We'll talk about Kyrie Irving. I also had Dereck Lively. I'll admit I had Dereck Lively in my top 100. And so I'll explain my decision on that and my rankings on everyone else. But I want to start here. We did this ranking and we decided to leave in injured players because it's just more fun that way. If you get to rank Jason Tatum, Tyrese Halliburton, Kyrie Irving, obviously. But you did have to take injuries into account when it came to the players that you ranked. Do I think this player can play enough games for it to make sense for me to rank them? Does it make sense for me to look at this player and say, all right, well, you have that much value in the league. You are that good of a player, basically. And that's what I looked at. I didn't necessarily look at it as value. I said, what are you going to be next season? At the end of the season, when we rank all the players for how good they were that season, at the end of the season, where will all these guys be? And to start off, I had Anthony Davis at 10. And these are the players I had above him: Nikola Jokic, SGA, Luka Doncic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Victor Wembanyama. I had Jason Tatum at 6. I think if he's healthy, he's at 6. And so I just left him there. I know he's not going to play next season. We decided to keep them in. Anthony Edwards at 7, Steph Curry at 8, Kevin Durant at 9. And then I had Anthony Davis at 10. And if you look at that ranking, to me, I think all those players above him are justifiably really good players, impactful in multiple different ways and facets, dominant in their own right. And they change the culture and they change the landscape of the team that they're on in massive ways, more than anybody else on the list that we're going to go through. I think Anthony Davis is game changer of that ilk, though. I think he's right up there. Locked On, the Locked On list had him at 14, which is not too far off. I was surprised. I thought we were going to get Anthony Davis in the 20s or in the late teens or something like that. 14 was not far off of where I had him, obviously, at 10. And these are the players that Locked On had differently. The aggregate of all the Locked On hosts had differently than what I had. They had Jalen Brunson, LeBron James, Donovan Mitchell, and Tyrese Halliburton above Anthony Davis. All like offensive engines, all guys that can change in offense in a bunch, but there's not a lot of great defenders on that. And that's what I'm banking on Anthony Davis. That this season, he's going to go in and change the culture and change the landscape of a team defensively. That he's going to go into this Mavericks season and he's going to dominate in a way defensively that we have never seen a Mavericks player do before, besides maybe Tyson Chandler. And maybe even then, because Tyson Chandler wasn't like defensive player of the year potential when he was with the Mavericks. Potential, yes, but he wasn't that. He didn't have that kind of season in 2011 or the other one was in 2014, 2015 when he came back. He wasn't that. He won defensive player of the year when he went to the Knicks. He had the potential to do that, but he did not have that type of a season. Anthony Davis, I think, can absolutely have that type of season where you look at it and say, that is the defensive player of the year. And if that's the case, then that is enough of an impact for me to look at, all right, LeBron James in his, the twilight of his career at this point, still a crazy impactful player, second team all NBA last year, obviously. But if I'm putting Anthony Davis 10, I'm putting Anthony Davis on second team all NBA, right? Like these would be the all NBA teams by the end of the season, you would think. Jokic, SGA, Luka, Giannis, Wemby on the first team. Feel fine about that one. Tatum, who's not going to play though. Anthony Edwards, Curry, Durant, Anthony Davis on second team. Like that would make a lot of sense, and I think that would track. I think Anthony Davis is going to be that impactful for the Mavericks, especially defensively. And then you had the offense. I think Anthony Davis's offense is better than LeBron's defense, Jalen Brunson's defense, Donovan Mitchell's defense, and Tyrese Halliburton's defense. And Halliburton's not even going to play anyway, and so that's a different one where we decided to keep it in because it's more fun for Locked On Pacers if we keep it an injured player than if we just throw him off the list. And then I wouldn't be able to rank Kyrie Irving. Selfishly, I wanted to rank Kyrie Irving in this list. But I think Anthony Davis is a top 10 player. Locked On thinks he's a top 15 player. I don't know if I'm going to quibble too much with the difference between a top 10 and a top 15 player. I'm okay with that. I'm actually okay with that. Right outside, Cade Cunningham was at 15. I had Cade Cunningham at 14. So like me and Locked On had the exact same top 14 basically. Anthony Davis is that impactful. He is that good. He is going to come in and he should be held to that regard. Now, here's the problem with Anthony Davis and the reason why he's lower than some of these other guys, and it's not necessarily on merit, and why I expected him to be a little bit lower. I have Joel Embiid at like 26, and Locked On had him at 52. Like the aggregate of all the hosts had him at 50. So if I had him in the top 26, and I just started looking at some players and I said, would I rather have a chance that Joel Embiid is going to be healthy, or would I rather have like Trae Young? Like, I don't know. I think I would just take the chance on Joel Embiid. And I'm probably too high on him, but I also had Kyrie Irving pretty high as well. Would I rather have a chance at Joel Embiid, or the games that Joel Embiid is going to play for me, the 45 or 50 games that he's going to play, or would I rather have Alfred Şengün? I think I'll take Joel Embiid, and I'm probably wrong on this, and maybe I'm just projecting and hoping that he's going to be a lot better. But the fact that this is my point is that Locked On had him at 52 and that low. They had him below Rudy Gobert, below Tyler Hero, LaMelo Ball, Desmond Bane, Julius Randle, Aaron Gordon. You start looking at some of these names, you go, man, I would rather have Joel Embiid. But the reason why he's so low is because we took injuries into account. And so then you have to lower him. You have to lower him down. We brought players in that, all right, if you're gonna miss the whole season, all right, we'll rank you anyway. But if you're just an injury prone player, that gets held against you, right? Not just a freak injury. And that's why I thought Anthony Davis would be much lower than he is. And honestly, it shows that there were guys out there, there were Locked On hosts that probably ranked Anthony Davis higher than 10. Because to get him to that spot, I know some of them didn't rank him that high. It is wild to me that Anthony Davis did rank as high as he did with Locked On hosts. But that is how good he is. I think Mavericks fans throughout this whole process, obviously with everything, have lost sight in how good of a player Anthony Davis is. And it's easy to because of the injuries. And that's the reason why I thought he would be lower. That's the reason why I can't put him ahead of Kevin Durant or Steph Curry or Anthony Edwards at this point. Put him up that high. Some of it is play, but some of it is injuries too. He's struggled with injuries. He's played, games back and forth where you're like, all right, one season you're feeling good about it, and the next season you're like, ah, man. Right? Last season he played 51 games. The year before that, 76, you're feeling good. Then 56 the year before that, 40 the year before that, 36 the year before that in a shortened year, 62 the year before that in a shortened year, and that one was a good season. It's like, can he string together? Can he get back to another season of being healthy? And I think if he does, he's guaranteed to be a top 10 player this season because he is that impactful, both defensively as a potential defensive player of the year player, and better offense than a lot of the better offense than the defenses of the offense only guys out there. We're making the case now, right? We're talking about two-way players here on Locked On. We're not debating the rank of players just on one side anymore. The Mavs want to have good defensive players, and hey, they got one, and got one of the best ones. Like if you look at the defense first players on this list, it's Wemby and Anthony Davis. Like that's it, right? Who else is that high? I guess you could count Giannis a little bit. But it's not like Giannis is defensive player of the year every year. Interesting. Giannis, Wemby, Anthony Davis, the 3 best defenders in the NBA, or the 3 most talented best defenders in the NBA, if you want to put it that way. Anthony Davis should be top 10. I think he'll get there by the end of the season. We got to see what happens. Coming up, Cooper Flagg was the only rookie ranked on the whole top 100 list for Locked On. But why do I have him 20 spots higher than Locked On does? Am I just a homer? I'll tell you that maybe I am. I'll tell you why. Locked On Mavs continues. Today's episode of Locked On Mavs is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. The NFL season is here. FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer right now. New customers can bet $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the entire app. So go check it out. See what is available for you. I've been using it all the time. I was checking out Cowboys versus Giants, the week 2 game, and it was a 4.5-point spread. The Cowboys were actually favored in that one. Why did I say actually like that? That's disrespectful of me to do that. Sorry, Cowboys. The Cowboys were 4.5-point favorites on that. So if you feel like the Cowboys will win this game by at least 5 points, put the money down. If you feel real confident about it, put down $5 and you get $300 in bonus bets if that one wins. So go check it out. See what else you can do at FanDuel. If you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Please gamble responsibly. Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad. That's what we call our listeners who are listening every day. Appreciate you for checking out the show. We got a text line, 214-643-8637. You can also go to the link in the description wherever you're watching this. Join subtext.com/LockedOnMavs, and we'll text all kinds of stuff. Isaac is out this week. He is hanging out with his family in Disney, and I'm very excited for him to go do that and take his kids there for the first time. Like, what a magical moment for his family. Slightly is going to join me later in the week. I may have some other guests as well. We're going to talk about the top 100 pretty much all week, talking about where guys rank and different trends that I'm seeing in this and all that, where the Mavericks stack up in all these. And so I'm continuing on. Cooper Flagg. When we first started talking about doing a Locked On Top 100, I am the NBA channel manager for Locked On. And I used to say that at the beginning of every show, and then I realized that nobody knows what that means. I am basically like I manage all of the hosts. I bring some hosts in. I coach hosts. I do a bunch of different things. Manage basically, and like make sure that all the ships are coming in on time, right? And so I also help with some of these projects. And so when I was helping decide what to do the Locked On Top 100, I was like, all right, here we go. And then we had a meeting with a bunch of Locked On hosts, and I brought up Cooper Flagg. I said, all right, well, where are you guys going to rank Cooper Flagg? And I got a bunch of pushback from hosts saying, I don't rank rookies. I don't rank rookies at all. That they were just not going to do it. They were going to just abstain no matter what they actually thought about Cooper Flagg. And so I bring this up because I had Cooper Flagg at 60. I looked at the landscape of the NBA and I said, if Cooper Flagg is as good as we think he's going to be, impactful on both ends as he's going to be, how can I put him ahead of like Austin Reeves? Or how can I put him ahead of like Alex Caruso, who's impactful, but on one end, and they're both small guards? How can I put him ahead of like an Naz Reid, who is great, but has certain dimensions to his game? Cooper Flagg has so many dimensions to his game. He's being impactful in so many different areas. He's going to be impactful in so many different areas, not just one, not just defensively, where on offense, he's not like some of these guys aren't necessarily a liability. Alex Caruso, Lou Dort, Dyson Daniels, Jalen Suggs, like they're not liabilities on offense, but they're also not impacting the game on both ends. Zach LaVine, the other way around. Norman Powell, the other way around. Kobe White, the other way around. And so I put Cooper Flagg high. I'm high on him. I think he's going to be very good. We're talking about him like he is this guy that is going to come in and be good right away. We've also seen him against NBA talent. We've seen him in that Team USA. And I know it was just a select group scrimmage. I know it was just off season and all that. But I look at Cooper Flagg and I heard all the comments from all the different, Team USA stars that were there, Anthony Davis included. Kevin Durant had a great thing about him. They were like shocked about how good he is and how much he catches on and how he learns quickly and all that. I think he's going to come into the NBA, and I think he may not be top 60 like right out of the gate. But if he warms up to it by the end of the season, I still feel good about the ranking I gave him. To be at 60. Locked On, the aggregate, the whole list. They had him at 80, which honestly, I was surprised by. I thought he was going to be lower or off the list in general, because I heard so many hosts say to me, I'm not going to rank him. I'm just not going to rank him. I don't rank rookies. You'd be surprised to learn that our friend Matt Moore was one of the ones that decided to not rank rookies. Oh, Matt Moore of the Mavs villain draft that Isaac took. Isaac took Matt Moore in the villain draft that we had. But he went 80. And so I was proud of some hosts that they definitely had him higher, because I know a lot of hosts that didn't rank him. And so I think a lot of hosts did have him like in the 60s and the 70s. And I think Isaac may have even had him higher than I did. But he's going to be that impactful. I actually, full disclosure, I had Dylan Harper at 99. I just started looking at all the players and I was like, I think Dylan Harper could be better than all these players right away. Like, what am I doing? Let's go. Like, he's that good. He's 6'6". He's going to do a lot of different things. And that's kind of what you do with Cooper Flagg too. Like, at the end of the day, you go, all right, at the end of the day, like, Cooper Flagg is a 6'9" guy that can handle the ball. He can shoot. He can score inside. He can handle the ball in a pick and roll. He can do all these different things on offense. He passes like really well. And then on defense, he's long. He can stay in front of guys. He's got the size to stay with guys. He's really intelligent with the game. He's been playing for a while at a high level. Okay, well, what am I doing? What am I doing? We got to put him on this list and put him up there with guys that are impactful on both ends of the court. And put him up there with guys that deserve to be up there. You start looking at some of the names that I had that were different than Locked On. Here are the names. So you can play this game at home with me, right? Would you have this player ranked ahead of Cooper Flagg going into the season? You think this player, by the end of the season, we will think is still a better player than what Cooper Flagg is? Michael Porter Jr. Come on. He's going to score, but he's going to give it back to you on the other end too. And I don't know about this Nets team. Like, I don't know what impact he's bringing on this Nets team. Like, he would have to do a lot for this Nets team for me to feel like he was being that impactful. Drew Holiday. Okay. But I think he's was not as impactful as the Drew Holiday of namesake, right? We think of Drew Holiday. We think about this player that is of this level of impact. I'm raising my hand up to a certain level. And I think he has not been that. I think he has been downgraded because he's going towards the end of his career. Cam Johnson, I think he's going to be introduced to a lot of NBA fans this year because he's been playing with the Nets, and it's been a while since he played on the big stage in the NBA Finals for the Suns. His game has changed, but to me, I think offensively, great, but not as dimensional as Cooper Flagg's offense. Even. Is Cam Johnson a better offensive player? Yes, he will be, I think, because he can score in different ways. His shooting is probably going to be better than Cooper Flagg's is, right? That's what he's known for. But defensively, Cooper Flagg's got him there. And so I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to pick Cooper Flagg then. Crazy one is Paul George. Paul George Locked On had him at 76. Ooh, which is not crazy of a ranking because, like, the Ringers list had him at 90. And so you look around some of the other lists and you're like, man, I think Paul George has just fallen off a lot. I had Paul George at 81. So not far off where Locked On had him. But I'll take Cooper Flagg over Paul George. Part of it is the injuries for sure. The other part of it is I just don't know where he is in his game, where his motivations are at this point. Let me just go through a bunch of other names. Porzingis, Dort, Kobe White, Miles Turner, Andrew Nembhard, Isaiah Hartenstein, DeMar DeRozan, Alex Caruso, Jalen Suggs, Zach LaVine, Jaden McDaniels, Denny Avdia, Dyson Daniels, Norman Powell. All really good players on like one end of the ball. And I think Cooper Flagg can be good on both ends. And you know what happens when you're good at both ends of the ball? You end up skyrocketing up this list, right? You have to either be elite at one end or you have to be good at both. And that's what gets you way up the list, like where an Anthony Davis is, a Victor Wembanyama, a Giannis. And that's where we think Cooper Flagg is headed. I don't think he's going to get there in year one. But to me, I'm fine with, I have Cooper Flagg at 60. I feel confident in it. But I am glad that he made it on the list and he's at 80 for the Locked On list. Coming up, Kyrie Irving deserves more respect than the Locked On ranking has him, but I kind of get it. So we'll talk about that and more coming up.
I have to apologize that you felt that he should have played more.
All right, we're talking about the Locked On Top 100 list. I think they're fun. I like looking through all the lists. It is very hard. Slightly's going to do one himself. And so later in the week, we'll have him on and we'll compare our list. We'll compare where we have different players and things like that. So I'm super excited about that with Slightly a little bit later in the week. I'm talking about where I had all the Locked On, or where I had all the Mavericks ranked in the Locked On Top 100 and where they had them ranked. And here it is. I had Anthony Davis at 14, at 10. Locked On had him at 14. Kyrie Irving I had at 24 because I think he deserves to be a top 25 player. And Locked On had him at 40. The injuries are definitely getting into account there and definitely were considered with that one. I had Cooper Flagg at 60. Locked On had him at 80. And I had Dereck Lively at 100. Just straight up, I started looking at some of the players at the end of the list and I said, I think Dereck Lively is going to be better than all these players by the end of the season. And I think this is going to be the year for Dereck Lively. I've been high on him. There have been some of you that have been frustrated with that I have Dereck Lively as a better player than Daniel Gafford right now. And I get that. I understand. But if I'm going to be high on him, all right, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is and go ahead and put Dereck Lively on this list because I think he's that good. But I want to talk about Kyrie Irving right now. Kyrie Irving, I think, deserves a little bit more respect than where Locked On has him. They have him at 40. I'm at 24. I think he's a top 25 player. If we took out some of the long-term injuries out of this, then all right. Kyrie Irving is not Anthony Davis or Joel Embiid or even Paul George in the injury proneness that he is. And so I start to look down the list of who would I rather have. When Kyrie Irving comes back, I'd rather have him than John Morant. I'd rather have him than Jimmy Butler. I'd rather have him than Trae Young. I'd rather have him than Amen Thompson. I'd rather have him than De'Aaron Fox. And where Locked On has these guards ahead of him. Tyrese Maxey, Derek White, Jamal Murray. Miss me with that one. Jamal Murray better than Kyrie Irving? Is that what we're doing here? We're going to take that. We're just going to be like, maybe just the injury pulled him down. And like, I bet some hosts just didn't rank him or had him low because they're looking at the injuries. But come on, like you're going to tell me that Jamal Murray is better than Kyrie Irving. Derek White is better, more impactful player than Kyrie Irving. Tyrese Maxey, come on. Darius Garland, Trae Young, James Harden, Devin Booker. I did have Devin Booker one spot ahead of Kyrie. But those are the guards they had ahead. Those are the guards they had ahead that I didn't. And I think he deserves more respect than that. Like Fox, Jamal Murray, Derek White, Tyrese Maxey. Come on. Kyrie is a better player than that. Kyrie, where he's not going to get the credit is defensively. He's looked at as one of these other guys. It's like, all right, well, he just doesn't bring it defensively. But I don't think he's in the same category as like a Donovan Mitchell, a Jalen Brunson, the guys that I talked about up top when I talked about Anthony Davis. He's more like a Steph Curry, where defensively, he's got limitations, but he's still going to bring it. He's still going to go out there and hold his own. He's not going to be the weak link on defense. Now, this year, he may be the weak link on defense because the rest of the team is going to be that good defensively. But he's not going to be the weak link on defense where guys are hunting him all the time. Maybe just because of his size. And maybe that'll have to happen this season because of just how good this Mavericks team should be defensively. But I look at the gap in the ranking, and honestly, like, again, it's almost like the Cooper Flagg one where I go, I'm just glad that he was put in the ranking. I'm glad that he's still top 50. I'm glad that he's still up there. But Kyrie Irving, when he was healthy last year, was going to make an all NBA team. I thought. Very good season. Efficient. Carried a lot for the Mavericks. Came up big in big situations. And then obviously well liked by everybody around the league. And like, seems like everybody is, reveres him as the best ball handler of all time. And you start to think about some of that stuff. And you're like, all right, well, if that player is this skilled, he's the most skilled player of all time, right? We've heard that. All right, then how am I going to put De'Aaron Fox ahead of him? How am I going to put Jamal Murray ahead of him, who's never made an all-star team? Kyrie Irving was an all-star last season, and we're going to put Jamal Murray ahead of him? That's the one that's really got me. Maybe that's got me because I was listening to Locked On Nuggets, and they were like, why is Jamal Murray at 34? Like, they didn't think he should have been that high. Or at least Matt did. Maybe I'm just listening to Matt more too much. That may actually be my problem. Look, I think Kyrie Irving should be higher than that. I also had Dereck Lively. Okay. I'm high on Dereck Lively, and this is a projection into the next year. So I'm going to take Dereck Lively, and I'm not going to take his last season and be like, because of last season and the games that he played, I think he is a top 100 player in the league. No, I think this season he's going to put on a show. I think he's going to come out. He's going to play well with Anthony Davis. He's going to play well with D'Angelo Russell running the pick and roll. I think he's going to play well with Cooper Flagg, and we're going to look at that tandem and be like, oh my gosh, this is the future. Like bring on the future now. Like let's move the Anthony Davis Kyrie era out of the way so we can get to this future. I think people are going to be excited about that young duo. But I got to the end of the list and I started to look through the names and like, am I going to really have Peyton Pritchard, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, CJ McCollum, and not put Dereck Lively on this list? Right? Okay, these are the players that I had honorable mention that I didn't put on the list that I picked Dereck Lively over. Jakob Poeltl, Andrew Wiggins, Brandon Miller, Colin Sexton, Devin Vassell, Dylan Brooks, Peyton Pritchard, who made the list, CJ McCollum, who made the list, DeAndre Hunter, Mitchell Robinson, PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford, Klay Thompson, Kevin Porter Jr., Jabari Smith, Cason Wallace, DeJounte Murray, who's out for a bunch, but still we decided to rank him. And like, listen, I'll take Dereck Lively. I'll take his defense. I'll take what he's going to do on offense. I think he's going to be dynamic in a couple of different ways where he can handle the ball in the short roll. And I'm high on Dereck Lively this season. And that's the reason why I put him in my top 100. I decided, screw it. I think he's going to have a good season. I think he's going to be great. I think he's better than all the players listed. And I feel good about it. I feel great. He's going to get the opportunity as well. I feel good about where I put Dereck Lively. Thanks so much for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs. We'll be back tomorrow with more. We're talking about the Locked On Top 100. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.